I believe that we have been right in the course we have charted. To abandon our purpose would be to miss the tide and perhaps to miss the port. I propose to sail ahead, for to reach a port we must sail. Sail, not lie at anchor. Sail, not drift.
This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
And this is John Hurst.
And you're listening to the last episode of Bonfireside Chat. After Dark.
Comes crashing down. Comes
It is
crashing.
the final favorite.
The final favorite.
Comes crashing down. Oh, I see coming.
Yep. It makes plenty of sense that would have happened to us now at this important juncture.
The lightning, the miscarriage, or the whatever happens in lightning crashes.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happens in lightning crashes. No, so this time we are reading your responses. We've kind of cleaned up everybody who has put in stuff from Patreon and called for some public responses and stuff. But yeah, this is Dark Souls as a game and Dark Souls as a series. Your thoughts, prompts, questions, concerns, just funnin', all of that. And thank you so much for sticking around, John.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. We really do appreciate it. John, he was one of our backers at the executive producer level on our Patreon, and chose Dark Souls 1 as his game to kind of guest on, which means he gets to be on this last episode, which is appropriate.
Yeah.
John's been a big supporter over the years, and we really do appreciate it. And I also want to say to people who are listening, like there are people who have literally listened to every episode of this. Mm-hmm. For those people, we really appreciate you sticking around too. There'll be more of the sappy shit at the end. But even for now, I just want to give you a taste before it comes on back in the end to bam, sappy shit. But for now, just let know, it feels at least a little bit momentous, and we want to thank people for sticking around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Roris wants to thank you too.
Oh, of course.
Good timing, Roris.
I'm happy he was able to be on the last episode.
Yeah, he's gonna get in and get vocalized. The compressor is no match for him. So I will go ahead and get started here with some responses, and we'll kind of round robin it. Like I'll go, Cole goes, and then John goes.
Yeah,
that sounds good. Right? I'll get started here with Rick B, who says via Patreon, Dark Souls holds a very special place in my heart. I went in totally blind, mostly offline due to connectivity issues, and spent 80 hours fumbling alone and lost through my first playthrough, mostly with headphones on a tiny old TV in the wee hours of the night while my wife slept. It was a goddamn magical experience. Though Dark Souls quickly became one of my favorite games of all time, I didn't pick up Dark Souls 2 until Dark Souls 3 came out. A buddy of mine whom I turned on to Dark Souls 1 and who subsequently sank 10,000 hours into the series, had said that it was garbage by comparison, so I held off longer than I should have on picking things back up. And as it turns out, Dark Souls 2 DLC remains my second favorite Souls content. Thanks, Roris. This is gonna be. It's like we wish on a monkey's paw for Roris to contribute on this episode.
Come on, guys, give me a mic.
My interest rekindled. I started listening to Bonfireside Chat around the same time and listened to every episode from the beginning all the way through, skipping Demon Souls and Bloodborne because I don't have any means to play them now, but I do intend to eventually. I caught up on being current with the episodes towards the end of the Dark Souls 3 seasons, while the game was still fresh in my mind, and was finally able to engage fully with the show, even if it was for a short while. Having you guys as my constant companions through the Dark Souls games has improved my enjoyment of them considerably, and though it definitely is time to let the show go, when that outro plays for the last time, I'm sure I will shed a single manly tear like a sentimental old fool. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
And then going back into Cole's doing a different theme song for the last one.
Jeez,
what you think?
I really fucked this up, didn't I?
No, it was a good idea. And then I'm surprised too. That it's
Yeah. That's a spoiler. There'll be a different thing at the end, just like there was last time.
Yes. a different than the last one.
Yeah.
Thing for sure. We should put those up for download somewhere just for free on a post in case anybody wants them.
Yeah. I am proud of them. I'm more proud of them than I should be for the afternoon of work that I put into them.
The main theme, that ending theme that you mentioned in there, is part of our welcome pack for patrons. So if you patronize us at $2 a month, you get every audio thing that's ever been done for the network.
Yeah.
I think, which is hundreds of stings and theme songs, and most, 90% of which are from Teenage Dirtbags, but there are lots and lots of things.
But they're worthwhile. Like, you guys put so much care into those.
Yeah, it is a dumb joke that's a lot of work for a couple seconds of content that like both of us really like.
A couple of seconds repeated ad infinitum.
Yes, yeah, like keep it coming up, and there's weird ones that we've only done once and stuff too. Yeah. But you can listen to those if you got to get your fill of cowboy jokes or what have you on the run. Yeah, and you can get that original Dark Souls theme song, so you can relive it in your head.
Yeah,
if you want. So yeah. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, thank you. Nobody should let how good Dark Souls 1 is keep them from playing the rest of the series.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Sleepy Smiles writes via Patreon. Here's a specific stupid thing I noticed while playing through the Painted World the other day. Enemies can trigger illusory walls, just as the players can. I was combing through the maze under the well, and one of the wheel skeletons powered past me and blew right through a wall, activating it, complete with the shimmering visual and distinctive "you dispelled the illusion" sound. Gotta love finding new weird little details in Dark Souls even after 6 years.
I had no idea.
So true.
Yeah, that's great.
So true. New things.
Yeah.
Yep. Systems on systems leaning on each other, like Forrest and Bubba. Yes.
Yes, the characters, not the locations.
Right.
Not like a Bubba Gump shrimp next to a forest.
Right.
Like somebody runs their own franchise out of a shack.
Right.
Or Resident Evil 7 shack. The closest thing I knew to that is that enemies can break the smashable wall in Sense Fortress. So if you want to get to Logan early without triggering that thing, you can trick that Snake Man into punching the wall.
Oh, nice.
There. So I guess it makes sense that they can trigger your illusionary walls if they can do that. So
yeah, if their attacks register for the world geometry.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Cool. Yeah,
they tend to just go through walls and kill me. Yeah. Like, they don't seem to be that hindered by small spaces.
Ornstein is unfazed by Smo.
Yeah. John, what does Brian say?
Brian via Patreon says, the first Dark Souls is a game I have such a great fondness for that I'm honestly kind of afraid to replay it. Don't be afraid. It's amazing. I worry that the quality of life features that came in the subsequent games have spoiled me, and replaying it will tarnish my memories. Your victory lap may be the thing I need to actually revisit one of my all-time favorite games.
Yeah. John's right. Those quality of life things are real. They are good. Listen to me talk about reviving to human, etc. However, you very quickly, over the course of the game, snap back into being real comfortable with it.
Yeah. And I think one of the things we touched on a lot in the main episode is some of those quality of life things are not for the best, such as the travel anywhere.
Yeah.
Like you give up some stuff with that too. Which is definitively, that's what it is. It is a quality of life thing, but you lose a little bit.
Yeah.
Or lose a lot of it rather. With that. Excuse me. Bob Witt says via Patreon, Bonfireside Chat inspired probably my deepest dive into any game. I even played a Baldur side sword run just to spite Cole.
Well, joke's on you, Bob.
Yeah. I don't think my enjoyment of Dark Souls and the rest of the series would have been quite as intense without the show, so thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Yeah. Baldur side sword is really good. I wish that I was not so invested in my strength build that I could.
There's an ease of use thing I want back.
Yeah.
Like respecs are always good.
There's probably a mod I could use to like reset and edit stuff. It just seems against it.
I don't know if there is. Like modding in Dark Souls is weird.
Yeah.
It's not like loading up a trainer in an Infinity Engine game. Like you don't get as much control.
Okay.
So,
oh, well, at least I got one. That's all I wanted.
Yeah. You can have it in your trophy. Now you get to go get all the weapons. You're like one of those weirdos.
18 years down the line.
Yeah.
I finally got my channeler Trident.
That's the sound of you at the ripe old age of 45 or whatever.
Over that time, I decided to start living really rough. People comment about how much deeper my voice is now compared to the first WAF, which is just equipment. But
I think
I'm going to really
lean
into
that.
it.
Yeah.
I was also 23 or 22.
Yeah, you went through puberty too.
Yep.
So, yeah, it came back.
man. Was that you, Gary, who did that?
That was me.
That was you. Sean Franson, our friend from PRG, says via Patreon, the first time I met you guys at Portland Retro Games Expo, I started talking to Gary about how far behind my games I was. I mentioned that I hadn't even played Dark Souls yet. Oh man, you gotta play Dark Souls, he said automatically, as though it was a reflex. I added that last part. A month or so later, I posted that I was starting it on Facebook, and Gary helped me through my initial frustration with it. That was something like 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm still addicted to these games. Without you guys, I wouldn't have tried this series. I would have bounced off of it and missed out on one of the most enriching game experiences that I've ever had. A love spanning years. And I wouldn't have had something to look forward to every time I finish an area. I don't have much to say that I haven't already said about the series, but I wanted to take a second to write in and say thank you to both of you for introducing me to what is now my favorite game series.
Yeah, thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
remember meeting Sean.
Yeah. And he's showed up most years. I hope he can make his way out this year.
Yeah, he was going to move for a little while, and then I don't think he is, or if so, it's going to be a delay. So he may be around.
Yeah.
In October. So
one last hurrah.
And his wife Gail, also very, very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of those problems with like the totemic quality that the game has taken. It can be intimidating to people who haven't like broached it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that way about lots of things where it's like I just don't know, I have to have the energy to want to start this thing.
Yeah.
It's I'm going to play it. That is how Nier Automata is turning into for me.
Yes.
Where like I am getting sick of hearing about it, and I'm starting to have the contrarian like, oh guys, shut up. Like I'm starting to feel like that about it, and that's not fair. Like maybe it's really good.
Yeah.
I still want to play it, but I'm hearing about it too much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting to that like level where it's like I just don't,
Yeah.
It's going to be a thing. Like I'm going to have to
it's going
to be a
Spite
thing.
is edging its way in. Yeah.
Spite's edging its way in, and just me being a contrarian dickhead. Where's just knock that down. He's doing good work right now.
He's been real quiet for the past 2 years.
He's weird. I'm changing his food a little bit, but also right around now, every day he wants to play. For people who are listening, like we're recording this at a different time than we usually do. So like he's
activating because the sun's gone down. Right?
Yep. It's Roars After Dark.
So Angel says via contact, it's been great playing along with the Bonfire Side Chat Victory Lap. Towards the end of Dark Souls 3, I was wondering if my disappointment with that game was more due to Souls fatigue than the game's actual content. But now I'm convinced that's not the case. The Eldritch Horror of Bloodborne is still great, and the Ilium Lois is still breathtaking. I was almost surprised, however, at how good it felt to be back in Lordran. Despite its last-gen graphics and somewhat stilted controls, I still find the adventure in Dark Souls 1 to be the most compelling of all the Soulsborne games. For me, I think a big part of this is due to the lack of early game fast travel and the ability to manage your character at any bonfire. These features make exploration in Dark Souls 1 feel like a journey into the heart of darkness, where the other games feel like a series of away missions. To this day, reaching the bonfire at the bottom of Blight Town grants a feeling of remote isolation that is unmatched by the other games. In that moment, and others like it, it's great to imagine my character tossing a bone shard into the fire, tending to her gear, and honing her spirit in preparation for the next push forward, not knowing when she'll see Firelink Shrine again. It's only there where an in-game harmonica. Anyhow, congratulations on the great series. It's been a real pleasure tagging along on this most unique gaming journeys. And that's Angel.
Yeah. I'm sorry we overpronounced your name in the past.
Yeah, like I don't know if we went quite as far as like Angel or anything like that, but I think we did say
I think we hedged. I think we said either Angel or Angel on Angel. Yeah.
Apologize for that. One thing we didn't mention as far as those ease of use things is how like you can level up anywhere.
Yeah.
God, that's an ease of use thing that they actually just totally ditched. And is huge.
Yep.
How fucking annoying is it to like go back to head back, even though I mean we talked a lot about what they were trying to accomplish with that, but like man,
it still sucks. Like
you pay a lot for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It straight sucks.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, and just because I'm trying to save, I know people are not going to hunt down Angel, but because as the show ends, and I know there probably are people who want to do small pedantic corrections, there aren't bone shards
Right.
in Dark Souls when you use Firekeeper's souls to increase that. So
Yeah.
just making sure, and that's not me. I'm not trying to snark off at you. I'm just saying it for listeners because heading off emails and tweets is what we do. So
To people's chagrin.
yes. Moving on to things about other games. Julia says via contact. Or is it Julia or Julia? I'm just joking about the other thing. This is Julia.
Julia.
Julia, thank you. I was rushing to finish Dark Souls 2 by the retrospective, but it took me about 75 plus hours to reach the Throne of Want. And after another 15 hours, still loitering around new game, I have to say that Dark Souls 2 is the first video game I've loved since Doom, the 1993 version. It is beautiful and sparse, and the mechanics and depth of build are horrifyingly addicting. I know PvP isn't you guys' jam, but where else can you play a naked giantess, dual-wielding poison cestices, and challenge a naked guy power stancing 2 door-sized great shields? We played 4 separate times in the BOB, which stands for... That's a PvP arena.
The Battle of Blood.
Yeah, Battle of Blood. Thank you. Good pull, Cole. And each duel took 5 to 10 minutes each time. We're currently 2-2, and I can hardly wait to get home from work to try another build on the people still kindling the bonfires in Drang Lake. And they say that non-Scholar of the First Sin PC is dead. If I can get over my love for bonfire ascetics, soul vessels, bonfire warping, Majula, bright bugs, and other don't waste my fucking time measures, then maybe I'll go back and try the other 2. Thank you to both for what you do, the poetic interludes, the biting criticism, the silly joking. You have added a lot of joy and critical depth to my life and appreciation of video games. Yeah, thanks, Julia.
Yeah. To correct myself, it's not the Battle of Blood, it is the Brotherhood of Blood.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Seems pretty close. The I think this the PvP gimmick stuff. We talked about that a little bit. Where we talked about specifically the butterfly outfit, like the kind of weird things you're allowed to do.
Yeah.
In Dark Souls 2, like weapon wise, you can. I'm going to carry a big jawbone and a gigantic arm, and just kind of go in as like the corpse fighter. Like you can do all kinds of shit like that.
Yeah. And even like down to like if we're talking going to backmash this to Dark Souls 1, like as shitty as that could have turned out, your story of the hacker who came at you in Anne Orlando, like that is a good story.
It was really fun, and I didn't bring up the specifics of it because we did a whole episode on it, but like I love my PvP build that I did for Dark Souls 1, which was the Goldhem set, the Skull Mask, the Gravelord sword, and then just pyromancies that created fogs to walk out of. And like that was the extent of the joke.
Your wrestling entrances.
Yeah, I never like caught anybody in the fog, but just like if I thought they might be coming, having it come out from a corner and then walking out of it to fight. I just thought it was super fun. And Dark Souls 1 is a game that is known for just having like a preponderance of giant dads.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't have that, but the series does allow you to kind of do this player expression in this goofy way a lot of time. That's really fun.
Yeah. Illusory Wall writes, our friend Illusory Wall. Yeah. Via contact.
Real quick, because he won't plug it. He does a video podcast called the Retro Games Audio Podcast. That's excellent. Like one of the weird things about Illusory Wall is he is one of those people who is infuriatingly good at lots of things.
Right. Yeah.
And
where does he get off?
Where does he get off? Not only is he great at this kind of soul stuff, he's really, really smart about game audio and does a podcast with another fellow whose name escapes me, and I apologize for that. But it is really good about the ins and outs of old video game audio. And if you need a place to start, I did an episode about the Maniac Mansion soundtrack, which is my favorite NES soundtrack. And they interviewed the composer for the second part of that, which I was not on, but it is a really fun, good episode.
Yeah. Gary, what is that show called again?
Retro Game Audio Podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But Loser Wall continues. Hey guys. First off, I just wanted to quickly thank Gary, Cole, and the Duckfeed family for the countless hours of entertainment. Your podcasts have accompanied me through a lot of Dark Souls testing and multiplayer sessions, and I've met cool people like Jeremy and Allison through the podcast as well. As much as I thought I might be sad to see Bonfireside Chat come to an end, the truth is that there won't be much of a void there as long as your other podcasts continue. I'm currently catching up on Days of Future Cast and Monster on my podcast and loving it. I also want to drop a quick response about Demon Souls. You guys mentioned how it doesn't quite have the same community drive to probe all of the mechanics quickly like later Souls games, and I actually have a specific example that I think illustrates this perfectly. And it might come as a surprise to some listeners too. Did you know that we didn't know the exact level ranges in Demon Souls until a few months before until a few months before Bloodborne came out? It actually took that long. And at the risk of sounding conceited, they still might not have known today had I not tested it, since I'm the sole source and tester on that. It really illustrates how much smaller the Demon Souls community is. Contrast this to something like Dark Souls 3, where I felt like I had very little to contribute to the testing scene because of that very large and engaged community that does an amazing job with it. It's a scene that continues to grow with each new Soulsborne game, and it really impresses me. And then Illusory links to a post that they did about this particular thing. And like everything on Illusory Mall's Tumblr, it is worth looking at because it is incredibly well researched, and it will teach you things about these games that you thought were kind of long plumbed for all of their secrets.
Yeah,
and he is operating on another level.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Again, that Vagrant stuff is just great. He does things too where people do these return events. They do like, return to Drang Lake, return to Lordran events. And when they do return to Lordran, he has like spawned vagrants for people. Yeah. Like he knows the mechanics of doing it. He has like characters set up just to like make there be more vagrants around during that, which is a really like selfless, cool thing to just make this transitory event much more magical for other people. Mm-hmm. So top shelf dude.
Yes.
And well worth supporting.
Yes.
Yes.
So next is prompts. Doug Leaf via Patreon. My first foray into the Souls series was Bloodborne, and aside from the game's many strengths, one of the things that struck me about it most was its ability to surprise in its storytelling. There are so many moments that stand out from the series that masterfully subvert expectations. The reveal of Bloodborne's true cosmology, meeting King Vendrick for the first time, or even just being squashed by the Asylum Demon. There are plenty of surprises to choose from, and I'd be curious to hear from both of you as to I'd be curious to hear from both of you as to what some of your favorites are.
Yeah. So some of these showed up in our Souls Agories.
Yeah.
So I don't want to repeat myself with these. So I might need a second, but I know what Doug's talking about. Like very specifically, there are these kind of like stomach drop moments that are very, very good.
Gary, can I tell you yours?
Yep.
Havelstash.
Oh yeah, Havelstash is very good. Yeah, I love Havelstash. That's a great one.
Yeah, Havelstash is great.
Yeah.
John, do you have one?
Are we to the whole series?
Yeah.
I think Dark Souls 2 going back and seeing the battle with the giants was a really cool moment. That was really kind of transcendent for me. It really was one of the best parts I thought of Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, that doesn't get any credit. Like the fact that you get to you go to explore the aftermath of that as your first level, and then near the end of the game you go back in time and experience it as it's happening. Like that's extremely cool and doesn't get a lot of credit. I think you're right on with that.
Yeah. Speaking of gets no credit, let's say Dark Souls 3 Return to Anor Londo. Yeah. I was gonna say before you gave me Havelstash, which is a good one. I was gonna also bring up a Dark Souls 3 one because it's the last episode of the year. Why hold grudges, right? Or the last episode we're doing and say and this does get a lot of credit, but like finding the Untenanted Graves is amazing. Like that is the realization that was the place where I started the game is really, really cool. I still like, I need to do another like dip into the like more robust lore community, because at the time we were doing the show, there were no real satisfying answers about any of that. Right.
Which I found pretty frustrating. Like I couldn't find one, but also no one really had a good one. Mm-hmm. The best anyone had was like, Ludleth had done some stuff with light and time and create a pocket dimension.
Yeah.
Which is like, I'll subscribe to that, but I wonder if anyone's made any other breakthroughs.
Yeah.
On that.
I'll be curious. There's been some movement on the Ring City stuff that I think is pretty good. like things that we missed, specifically in regard to kind of Gwyn being much more of a dick than we initially led him to. Like the entire existence of the Ring City, people have drawn some pretty satisfying conclusions about that. I wouldn't be surprised if there was more in the main body that we not that we missed, because this is a group effort, but
at the time people had not come up with it.
Right.
Because I remember, when I found the general kind of loreness of Three Wanting, I still had to do the show. So I looked online.
You cast around. Yeah.
Yeah. I cast around, and that's always been part of my process, but it was never more of a part of my process than that game. And I looked around and didn't find, again, satisfying things. Like it was, I wanted this to be a peace offering, not like a, this is supposed to be a peace branch.
But it still represents two of our answers for this. Like those are two very good moments.
Those are very good moments in a overall lore thing that the last time I left it was a little too stretchy.
Yeah.
For me. So.
Yeah.
Is this me?
Yes.
Justin, do you have anything more to? You had mentioned yours, John. Sorry, I hope I didn't mean to cut you off if I did.
No, we're good.
Okay. Justin says via Patreon, one of the best ways I have found to convey what it feels like to learn how to play a Souls game is to compare it to the learning of how to play an instrument. The learning curve is similar, as is the dichotomy between timing and intent. The fluidity of how these games can feel when played effectively is one of the only things I have experienced that I would say feels like being able to play a song really well. I've discussed this with other musical friends of mine who agree. I was wondering if you can also see the parallels between playing Souls and playing a musical instrument, and also what you find is a good and efficient way to explain what Souls feels like to people who have never played it. For a bonus goof 'em up, I would love to hear a File Underwater crossover segment where you compare and contrast the career of From Software and that of REM. It's
That's funny.
Around the Dark Sun.
I think it's an excellent point. I actually was going to make the same comparison. I have no musical ability, but I qualify as a terrible ukulele player.
Oh, me too.
And I do see the parallel here. I've explicitly thought this. As you first learn it, you have no competence. Whatever your entry is, it's going to be the hardest you have it. Whatever series you're part of the series you're coming into, and as you sort of learn it, you learn that rhythm and you learn how to play it. And once you get that mechanical, this is how the game plays, this is what you need to expect, it is a little bit like an instrument. It's a skill, and it's a rewarding skill, because the next time you approach an area, it's something you've learned, and that memory catches up with you. And I think it's more true of this game than almost any other action game. There is something you're learning that you get to play forward with, and you build on and build on and build on and become better and better.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it, and it's a real good way, I think, to put it in regards to Dark Souls 1 specifically. Yes. Because if taking this metaphor and pushing it, further than intended, the challenge boss stuff, like the Ring City stuff, is like through the fire and flames. It like becomes like, even if you don't want to use instrument, you can use a video game thing and compare it to Guitar Hero, right? Like where it's like you're still gaining this core competency in this kind of verb set and way of interacting with a game you're not used to. And early entries allow for you to be good enough for punk. Like you can place your way through still knowing, like, I know 6 chords and I can play every Ramones song and a couple, other folk songs that I really like, and still get through the game. And then later that just becomes not good enough,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it is a good comparison.
It is a very good comparison. So I only know how to play guitar when it comes to instrument. Like I can fuck around on keyboard, but it's mostly just as a MIDI controller kind of thing. However, I do know how to sing. And this resonates most with me, not with learning how to sing, because that is something you can work at, but also it is, just like you kind of come out of the box, either being able to do it or not being comfortable with it. But harmonizing specifically, I remember growing up and being in school and being in choir class, that being a difficult thing to learn how to do, and having a very similar moment of like, oh, by George, I've got it kind of moment when I realized that I could sing a different note from somebody and make it sound even better. You can sing alone and sing by yourself. And that can be like being good at pressing buttons and stuff. Testing yourself against a moving set of conditions, being able to rise to it and bring yourself to it, is very much like learning how to harmonize. And so that for me is how I see this. This is a very good description.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then REM to Souls ends up being like weirdly obvious because REM peaked on their second and third album or so, and then eventually made Around the Sun.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Souls 2 is Reckoning. It's all over the place, but each of those individual pieces is really good. Dark Souls 1 would be something like Murmur or Fables, where it's quite similar, but very, very close to the top of their craft.
Moving on to Mitch.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Cole.
I'll take this. Mitch asks via Patreon, if you were to see any Souls game translated into another genre, what game would that be, and what genre would that be?
Any of them really, like probably Dark Souls 1 or Bloodborne Best of, and as a walking sim, like a Tacoma like just go explore this place, learn its story, and don't fight anything.
Yeah.
So
Bloodborne is a survival horror game.
That would be fun.
Yeah. John?
That's a cool idea.
I've got Tacoma on the brain also, so I tend to agree with that. I think it would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Just
to be a lore game, purely a lore game.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm surprised it has. I mean, the reason why it hasn't been done is because these assets are expensive.
Yeah.
So it'd be a big risk, and these levels are big. Like, it would be the world's biggest walking simulator. Like, but even just something like, a transmedia thing where there's a short game release that's like, here's Aldia's house.
Yeah.
And you go walk around it and learn about the backstory of what's going on through a different way of environmental storytelling that games can do than the kind of Souls way of doing it would be kind of neat.
It would require a little bit more brazenness than I think any game company that is working with this budget would have, because that is exactly the opposite of what the most vocal market is asking for.
Yeah. That's just, I mean, Mitch asked for us, so I'll answer for us, but like whether I think that is a commercially viable thing is a totally different other question.
Oh, true. Yeah. That's more me lamenting why this thing we want to happen probably wouldn't.
Yeah, it's a bummer because it would be really cool. And I've heard other people say that they want that, but nobody on the Dark Souls fan page or, the Chicken Wing Gamer 97 who pops up sometimes with like shirts and pictures.
Those wings were such a mistake.
I love wings.
Here's another idea: tactical RPG similar to Final Fantasy Tactics or Ogre Battle.
Yeah.
Gwyn and company versus the dragons.
Oh yeah, doing the war before would be really cool as a tactics game. Or even a strategy game. Like I would like to do that as an RTS as well.
Like a kingdom management thing, like a Crusader Kings, but with Lordran itself.
Yeah, Sim Lordran. Yeah. Or even throw in some like narrative elements and do it like God.
Oh, King of Dragon Pass.
Yeah, King of Dragon Pass, like fighter. Yeah, King of Dragons Pass. And just,
King of the Valley of the Drakes. Yeah,
that would be great. That'd be super cool. Yeah. So I would want to play any of those. That'd be interesting. I hope it happens someday. It won't, because they won't let it go. But I think it'd be cool. Yeah, I think it'd be super cool.
Hollow Knight has led me to believe that there are a lot of developers who understand what is good. So there might be an approximation.
It's Hollow Knight definitely doesn't make me think there are a lot.
Oh yeah, a lot.
I think
Sorry, I misspoke. That there's at least one, and there could be more. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think our experience has led me to believe there are very, very few.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm a huge tactical RPG fan, which made me think of that. But after about 6, you kind of run out of a good catalog on that genre. So, May Sinclair via Patreon first expresses some concern about being too negative, but hey, let's all be there. For some of us, Dark Souls 3 was a letdown. It was a letdown in ways, but Bloodborne, most people liked a lot. Do you think we got better closure thanks to 3? After Bloodborne, we were all clamoring for what they will do next. But after 3, we feel much better about letting From take a break from Soulsborne and maybe work on another project. It reminds me of that strategy of you do something bad at the end of a relationship to really piss the person off so they won't miss you so much.
Yeah. Make the breakup as bad as possible so they can move on cleanly.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
I think Maya would probably have words with us if we didn't correct the pronunciation of her name. I'm sorry, John.
Oh, I apologize.
No, don't worry.
I doubt Maya would have words for him. She's just like one of the nicest people.
I know.
I think that what happened was, I think that, I don't know if this is exactly the question that's being answered, but it's an interesting thing regardless, is that the fact that Bloodborne, while being very good, did not do everything I wanted from a Dark Souls, made me really, really want another Dark Souls. And I'm on tape saying that. And that didn't do Dark Souls 3 any favors.
Right.
So if Bloodborne hadn't come out, I might have been more prepared for the curve that leads into Dark Souls 3, rather than being like, man, I can't wait to get back to like build variety and stodgy combat. And then to have that really not happen.
Yeah.
So I think that's, again, I don't think it's exactly the question that's being answered, but I think that did happen for me.
Yeah. Bloodborne misled me into thinking that they had a zest for attempting and trying to do something new, and bringing a different kind of insight back to that world, back to that setting or those set of themes that I really loved. And that probably was naive of me to believe they might do that. And I'm happy that they're done. I'm happy that they can take a break and move on to whatever's next, because their moves from Kingsfield to Demon Souls, from Demon Souls to Dark Souls, and from Dark Souls to Bloodborne have been some of the best leaps that they have made. Yeah. And just, I'm ready. I'm ready to give them time, because I'm ready for time myself.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, John? What do you think?
I think I guess just from a psychological perspective, it is easier to let it go when you're not as happy as the last result. So I think it has made it a little easier.
Yeah.
It makes a case.
I'm really looking for, I really hope that they go forward and they do something really new and cool for the next thing.
Either a whole new direction or something that goes way back to their catalog. Yeah.
I wish that we got better closure, but on a meta level, I feel comfortable moving on. I don't feel dissatisfied at the moment.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yep. Jeff says via contact, bonfires have a special meaning in Dark Souls, not present in other Souls games. Resting at a bonfire implies a dedication to your current path as an adventurer. What bonfire did you spawn at the most during your first playthrough? Which bonfire surprised relieved you the most? I spent the most time at the Berg bonfire on my first run, and the bonfire I was most relieved to discover was the Blighttown Bridge bonfire.
I mean, it would have to be the Berg bonfire.
I bet you that's the same. I bet you that's the answer for like almost everyone.
Yeah.
With the possible exception of the Anor Londo one, because people get hung up on ONS.
Yeah.
But the Berg one is like, that's the canonical, like, wake up. Makeup. I wanted you. That comes up every single time I think of like waking up in Dark Souls.
Gary, toxicity is down a couple of levels later.
Yeah, I've got a blooming purple thing to get to erase the song Toxicity.
The one that I was most surprised or relieved to find. Man, that's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is exactly the correct answer if you like put a gun to my head, but I found the hidden one in right before Seath. Or not before Seath, sorry.
I was going to say, wait a minute, you didn't correct me?
Tell me about that one now.
The one before Sif, that's behind the illusory wall. That's incredibly useful, like right before the D&D party, which is a really hard encounter.
Yeah. The one in the depths that you either find the key for on the big rat or you use the master key for is actually very useful, because the depths is such an intimidating area the first time you go through. That gives you kind of a direct run to the end to, a very tough boss fight, at least in terms of ability to kill you quickly, and also its longevity is something that I don't know if I was relieved to find it, but I'm happy it was there.
Yeah. Yep.
John?
Probably, obviously, I think your answers are all good. The bonfire above Andre of Astora was a very popular one for me because it kind of connects a lot of areas.
Yeah, that's a huge junction actually. That's one of those nexuses of like of the game that works really well. So And
Yeah,
it's
it's
right next
funny
to
in
a
this-
blacksmith.
it's-
Like, God, that's
it-
really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny when I was thinking about this, how, preparing for this, I was thinking about, that bonfire is really a nexus. And then I started thinking, oh, yeah, they've already used that terminology. So I guess I can't use that anymore.
Yeah. It's a confluence. It's a crossroads.
Yeah.
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 Intersection. Yost writes, if Dark Souls 1 would have already had the New Game Plus as different feature from Dark Souls 2, what are the absolute coolest things you can imagine that could be hidden in New Game Plus and beyond? Since this is a fantasy question, this can go very deep into New Game Plus and beyond if you want. It can include any changes that you could imagine, not just the type of stuff that New Game Plus changed in Dark Souls 2. Of course, you'll be inundated with grateful messages, so I won't keep you long, but just to say, I think that you've been making a massive contribution to the well-being of a lot of people with this show. And a message to other BSC listeners. When I first started to listen to Bonfireside Chat, I read or heard someone say, you come for the Dark Souls content, but you stay for Gary and Cole. It stuck with me, and after having listened to your many wonderful shows, I absolutely agree. Okay, I'm starting to cry, sorry.
Thanks, bud.
Now that the show is over, I urge everyone to dive into the rest of the network, meet the other hosts, and discover an amazing community. Thank you, Yost.
Thanks, Yost.
Yeah.
And just I'll stop you from crying. There's tons of people who listen to it for the Dark Souls content and then do it in spite of us too.
Yeah.
not just undercut every compliment that happens, but
No.
we literally have reviews that are like, this is really good, but those two guys suck balls.
Yep. Yeah.
like I would love this if it wasn't for those fuckos. So
Yep.
that happens too.
Perfect message. Terrible messengers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mutant power is to not feel highs or lows anymore. So like it is very easy for me to.
I call that
to
a side
undercut-
effect of my medication.
Yeah, I can undercut positive things and put a booster chair under negative things like pretty well at this point in my 37 years of life. Like, so I really do appreciate that. Is very sweet. So I don't mean, I'm not saying that to underplay how sweet that is.
Yes. New Game Plus feature. I would love to see the world degrade.
That's a
as
cool
time goes
idea.
by.
Yeah.
Have bonfires have limited uses, maybe. Have certain bonfires not be there, more enemies in different places. Like, this is probably something that they came to later on in the series, but the idea that this is a diminishing cycle. Like, I would like to see more change than just enemy toughness and placement.
There's I think in the episodes we talked about it, I thought it'd be really cool if you fought a version of yourself.
Yes.
In New Game Plus, like you fought a copy that did that, and then someone weaponized that against me and was like, "Why don't you like Soul of Cinder? Because it's the same thing." And it's like, well, It's not though, because it's this weird amalgamation.
Yeah.
And everything, and like
it's taking the place of something meaningful as opposed to being a thing that complements everything.
Would be
else.
meaningful to me. Like would be a meaningful thing to me is like playing my last build. And you could do people would just break that and destroy it. Like you could do really hilarious things with that too. People would dress them up like candy clowns and but I think that would be a cool way that would play into the, like, this is just another cycle kind of thing. But the added aggression is key, because I think that's what happens in Dark Souls 2. When you end up with like the Drusilla Freya attacking you in advance, like have an enemy burst out of their arena before you can get to them.
Yeah. Do like
a
Resident Evil 2 Mr. X thing,
That would be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you mentioned the doppelganger fight. I thought that happened to me last time I played. I'd made my trip back to I was wearing the Elite Knight armor. and I played myself back to the Asylum, and I'm sitting there and being like, wait, I don't remember a doppelganger fight in this game, but I'm fighting a guy who looks just like me. And it took me a minute to figure out what was going on. Yeah. Yeah. I think it'd be interesting. It's almost like a reverse track at a racing game to be forced to start at different bonfires and fight yourself the other direction. I think that'd be kind of an interesting.
That's a cool idea. Yeah. I love that. It was just a challenge run thing that Lobos did, but I love that because in Dark Souls 1, he did like the clear Lordran run, where it's like, I'm not going to rest any bonfires. I'm just going to make a big empty stretch.
Yep.
As long as I can, and you can do like a large portion of the game.
Yeah.
With it. And it's a very cool idea for a challenge. Like you can just literally empty out this world.
Oh God.
It would need something like that to get me into New Game Plus. Like that's been one of those things that like people write in, and I know people are real like, oh, I'm into New Game Plus like 6 or something like that. Like, I can't remember who it was, but one of the YouTubers I got into when I first got into the game brought up the point that like, since that's just numbers, if you want to create that challenge for yourself, just use worse equipment or don't level up as much.
Yeah.
On the first run. Like you can create a New Game Plus 7 cycle for yourself more or less from the bat by just giving yourself a short sword and not upgrading it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's still just like, this is the math, this is the number of swings it's going to take to kill this boss. You know, you can do that already. So it sucks that New Game Plus has historically been such a boring missed opportunity in the series.
Oh, geez.
You know?
Okay, take away your ability to warp, put you at a very distant place. Like, oh, you wake up here after either linking or abandoning the fire. You have to work your way back to the asylum to stop Oscar from waking up the next chosen undead.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Oscar is the final fight, as opposed to Gwen, you're playing it in reverse.
There's shades of that, too, with the Oscar content stuff.
What?
So, you know, I mean, we talked about this. Like, the Oscar was originally a bigger part of the game.
Oh, he was like a rival for you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He chooses whatever serpent you don't.
Yeah.
And eventually becomes a fight. Like, that would be a cool, that'd be a cool thing just to add, even as it was too, into New Game Plus.
Mm-hmm.
I could, all those audio files are there, and he's just an NPC.
Yeah.
That could get modded in. I wonder if anyone's done that.
Yeah.
I feel like you can mod in Oscar's original quest line, because people modded in the, what's his head? The guy, the Shiva of the East who invades you in the Painted World.
Yep.
Like, they modded that back in. Or where you invade him, rather, with the second Black Eye Orb.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder if anyone's modded that in, because the audio is all there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's lots of cool ideas for like remix things to do. Like when you say start at a random place, that makes me think of like a randomized Isaac version.
Yeah, or not like a random place, but like pick one that is like distant, like put you in Ash Lake to work your way up. I know that sucks, but
yeah. Maybe don't pick Ash Lake.
Yeah, pick a different one.
Guys.
We're Ash Lake bullies. Like, just like us behind the school punching you in the stomach saying Ash Lake sucks and then taking your lunch money.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed we didn't have a direct conflict about Ash Lake in the last episode. So
I like Ash Lake. There's no conflict. Like, I like Ash Lake. I just I just want there to be things to do there.
Yeah, I think it's pretty. I think it's a wonderful like concept for the cosmology. I wish there was more play.
It's weird that there's a Hydra there. Yeah. I hate that there's a Hydra there. It's cool that he jumps out of the water, but that whole area down there ends up feeling a little bit like pop-potpourri with enemies. Yeah. Like, here's mushrooms, and here's basilisks, and here's oysters again, and like, it just makes the whole area feel like they at one point they had more they were going to do with it, and then they didn't.
Yeah.
Which kind of bums me out.
Yep.
Yeah. John, what does Alex say?
Alex says via contact, thanks so much for making Bonfireside Chat. The podcast, like Dark Souls itself, came along at the right time for me in my personal life, and has been a constant companion through the series, including marathon throwing myself against a brick wall boss run sessions and occasional grind for souls, vials, and titanite. You provided me a context and a passion for the games that enrich my own experience playing them, and I am grateful for all the work you have done to help make my playthroughs that much more engaging. Kudos to you on having created such an amazing document of the series. I am excited for what comes next. A question for you guys. Having played Dark Souls many times over, what areas or bosses do you skip? I find myself never bothering with the front entrance to Blighttown or revisiting Ash Lake. Are there any parts of the game you routinely pass on due to them being a pain in the ass or just boring?
The lava portion of Lost Izalith.
Yeah, or like, you mean just like rush through?
Rather? Oh, I use my humanity to get to the elevator.
I find that way more tedious than going through the lava. Like, I hate only doing one humanity at a time through there. Like, I don't know what it is, but that drives me nuts.
Yeah, I really don't like that lava.
Yeah, I don't mean I don't like the lava either. The lava's bad, but I don't. I rush through that. I don't savor it. I skip through the front entrance of Blighttown.
Yeah.
I think it's actually interesting and not as, it's not as bad as people say it is, but I just think it's more fun to just kind of get there and get down to the lower level, which I think is the more interesting, more fun part.
Yeah. Yeah, I do the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason to go to Ash Lake unless you want that covenant or unless you just want to soak in the scenery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do. I generally don't go down there. I almost always do other optional stuff. I like the depths actually.
Yep.
I know it is optional, but I actually like it, so I tend to go do it.
It's a good area.
Yeah, I think that like a wireframe, it's a sewer level, which is kind of generic, but like I think wireframe, that's a good level.
Yes.
And then I always do Painted World. I do Dark Anne Orlando. Yeah. I don't always fight Calamite when I'm doing kind of a run through that includes the DLCs.
Yeah.
I like that fight, but I don't know. I don't always just I'm not always up for it.
I appreciated it more this time being one of 2 good dragon fights in the entire series.
Yeah. It is cool that, it's rare.
That's true. Yep.
Yeah. But other than that, I do all this stuff. And sometimes I guess also I have stopped a playthrough and just like decide not to beat Manus too.
Oh yeah.
Like I usually play Artorias, but like I don't actually like the Manus fight all that much.
No.
And don't feel that bad skipping it.
Yeah. Lost Duel itself is very good. That was actually that was a runner up for my best area last episode actually.
Yeah. Ulyssil is great. Like the city, like it's a cool take on the Burg. Yep. Essentially like a more crumbling, more falling apart Burg. And that has weird stuff too. You get that medallion and that door you have to open by shining a torch. Like there's some good weird going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the DLC is awesome. It's a great area. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm jealous you got to play it.
Yeah.
You know, kind of for the first time. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing we didn't really talk about, but that kind of esoteric bullshit you get into that DLC. That would have been a bummer for me if I would have thought about it, probably.
Yeah.
Because then it's like they level gated it appropriately, but just somebody wrote. I think one of the Milk Elroys wrote an essay about that specifically.
Yeah, that was Justin around the time that I think the Dark Souls 2 DLC came out, basically decrying the fact that you have to be midway through a playthrough in order to do this new stuff.
I could have sworn it was something else. Maybe I'm thinking of something different, but it was specifically about the way to get there. It wasn't about it being level gated. Because if it's about being level gated, like, I don't know, like it's got to be. There's nothing to do about that,
right?
Like there's not. But the idea that like you have to kind of follow this dumb trail of breadcrumbs to get there is like kind of cool and kind of obnoxious.
You have to go there 3 times before you can actually go there.
Yeah. It's weird. And then like all the stuff with like dust not appearing unless you like quit out of the game and stuff, like it's just some esoterica.
Yeah.
So this we're getting ready to we're going to come in for a landing here, and we're going to talk about the people who just said nice things to us. Before we do that, we're going to let John go. Just so Cole and I can be alone. We came into this world alone. We'll leave it alone. Everyone dies alone. So, John, again, thank you again for joining us, and thank you for your support over the years. Like it's been very helpful and important.
And I know the show's been important to you guys, and I know you're hearing this a lot, but it's very, very important to your listeners too. I think you've heard that over and over again, and I know that's sinking in, but it's been very important to me personally. You guys are doing good work, so I really appreciate it.
John, you're killing me.
Okay, I'm just trying to set you up.
I appreciate
I decided
it.
I was going to go into this all positive, but now I'm going to bring it down, man.
You're not bringing me down. You're bringing me up. Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Thank you.
Really
guys.
do appreciate it
very much.
Where can people find you online again?
Yes, I can be found online. My Twitter is JD Hurst. I'd like to, if it's okay, I'd just say hi to my daughters, Maggie and Addie.
Oh, yeah.
Someday when they're, old enough to hear me cursing.
Yeah.
They may remember
I had a brief
moment of one time. So.
Where it's like, they listen, and it's just like, oh, man, I've said some real vile shit. Like, we talked a lot about fuckings on this podcast that I apologize for any kids who have.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be a long time. It's a 3-year-old and a 5-month-old, so they got a ways to go.
Well, that's very sweet.
Yeah. So, well, thank you very much, guys. Excellent show. Everyone keep supporting, and thank you so much for the opportunity to be here.
Well, thank you for your support.
Thanks, John.
You guys take care, and good luck going forward.
And for the final portion, just funnin', which mostly this is just people saying nice things about us, which is fun, but it is not just funnin' because it will be emotional.
Yeah.
Hopefully it is. Nobody took this opportunity to really cut us down here at the end.
He says with irony, knowing what's coming first.
Yeah, so gonna go ahead and I'll get started here with Sirg, a member of our community who says via Patreon. Well, I know it sucks to have your favorite game in the franchise come out and let you down. My first such dick kick was Star Control 3. As the non-infrequent target of some blast, y'all can suck it that the Surge came out this year and ate Dark Souls 3's fucking lunch on competent game design in this space. We won't go out on Lords of the Fallen 2, Sirg, you said. Bet you wish you did now, huh? Ruined City Boys. I think he means Ring City Boys.
Yep. All right. So, okay. Fair play in two ways. First, we have given Sirg some blasts.
Sirg deserves all that blast, man. Like you can't say like Lords of the Fallen is better than Dark Souls and like just get away with it. And here's the thing about Sirg that you learn through interaction with him is he doesn't want to get away with it.
No.
Like there is an impish glee to these terrible opinions that he has, and this is exactly what he wants. So weep not for Sirg.
I was also going to say Sirg has been a very generous supporter, and he bought and dare I say earned his chance to share his piece.
He totally did.
Yeah,
like he has been very generous, and also weep not for him. So that is that. I just think that you know what you're getting into.
Right.
Like I will get on the Slack and I try not to like just jump like Kool-Aid man, and I'm not saying Sirg does this, but I try not to Kool-Aid into a man and say Kool-Aid man into a room and say an unpopular opinion. But there are definitely times where like things will come up and I know that like it's a discussion and it's like, oh, this is going to invite some some disagreement and some dunking on me. It's just a cross you choose to bear.
Right.
You're not born with any cross like this cross.
Right.
So, but I do want to play the Surge. I almost bought it.
It was on sale here recently for like $30. I think 20 is my line.
20 is what I need. Enough people have said that it is like the Ring City hard, which I'm not interested in. Like it's later there are bosses with one-hit kills, things like that. And like I'm just not ready for that right now. I am having such a good time doing WoF games that are in some ways not meaningfully challenging, but are still like just go down a bit easier. Like I just beat Arkham Asylum, and it's like that game's not perfect. I'm looking forward to talking about it. It does some great things. It does some stupid things, but it's like it's not one-hit kill bosses,
right?
And stuff. Like it feels like a video game. Like it follows video game rules. It doesn't follow Souls rules. So like I've been enjoying kind of slumming it.
Yeah.
Outside of that ecosystem,
people sometimes write in. They haven't been kept current on the show and don't know what we are going to do. They're not sure. Like, oh, the Surge comes out. It makes sense for Bonfire Side Chat to do this. That's fine. We don't expect everybody to stay current. The Surge seems like a fine game to talk about for 15 minutes on the level.
Yeah.
Unless it turns out to be like fucking amazing, and then I can. Yeah.
or like it turns out to be great, we both like it, and then we do a watch out for fireballs on it.
Yeah.
Because again, the advantage of our flexible content means like nothing is gone forever. Or a flexible kind of arrangement with that. So like if we both try it when it gets down to $20 and we're like, you know what, this is really good. This is scratching that itch. We can slot it in. There's no governing body, as I am fond of pointing out. So like we may still end up covering that. And I do want to try it. I have an open mind about the Surge.
Yeah.
Is what I want to stress.
Yep, an open mind about the Surge and a
Surge.
Let's say a tolerance for the Surge. No, I
like Surge.
I like Surge a lot.
I just think it is funny.
Yeah, it is pretty funny.
Again, it is meant to be.
Yep.
It is not condescending to say that he's being funny.
Right. Marcus writes via contact. I started listening with WoF and ended up looking up on Fireside Chat since I had to learn what all this Dark Souls stuff you kept mentioning was. Yeah, that was a weird couple months, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I still haven't beat any of the games since I keep creating new characters and trying out new builds.
I keep trying to know
builds. New builds. But I have not been disappointed. My question is this. How has creating the more somber and self-reflective Bonfireside Chat affected your other projects? Not just how you approach abject suffering and WoFs, but also birthings like Gary's World of Darkness. What has changed, and what in turn changed Bonfireside Chat? Anyway, you guys are one of the teams that got me into podcasts in the first place, and I thank you all so much for all your hard work.
think that's Gary's Souls of Darkness. Gary's Worlds of Darkness is what happens when I close my eyes at night.
Yeah.
Just in general.
So it's when you go out on the street and throw your dice.
Yeah. It's when I go out to an alley and look for crime fun.
Yeah.
I know it's
Yeah. I don't know. Like, so from my perspective, if our output here has been darker and more somber than our other stuff, that is entirely just due to the sometimes horrible things that we talk about in the course of describing what happens in these games. I mean, they're heavy stuff, but like in general, I don't feel like this is a substantially different product tonally than the other stuff that we do.
Oh, I have a very different answer for that. I'm not trying to correct you, but for me, it is very different than that, because I think that we frequently talk about very dark things on other shows and have a more similar tone. I think it's guests. Almost entirely. Like, even though guests have been guests are really good, but you and I both like tend to be more on our best behavior when we're like, shit, Austin Walker's here. Like, that like Austin isn't funny, and I don't think I just not like I think he will judge me. It's just somebody.
Like
it's
Austin,
weird to have
Austin
somebody you admire.
Listens, he would be down. Yeah.
It's just very hard to be around somebody you admire.
You know what? Like that oversight is just it is literally just a function of the fact that like it's been a while since we've had guests like an Austin Walker on.
Yeah. It's not like, and even when you have other guests who are not like, I'm not intimidated by, and I don't mean that as like offensive to John or anything.
No,
like John's
no.
great.
Or any other
like,
people who've been on for this particular season. Like we
totally.
very consciously went back and got people from the community, to be on for this, and it's worked out really, really well.
And even then, like I act different than when it's just me and you than I do when there are other people around.
Yeah, when it's the two of us, we're trying to entertain each other. When somebody else is here, like we are trying to create an opportunity to like talk about the focus at hand, as opposed to like both of us trying to make each other laugh, and
make room for them to have their thing and make sure they feel respected and welcome. Things, which like I think that's good. I'm not complaining about that.
No.
By any means. It's just I think that does account for that different tone. So this ends up being a little bit, and there are other things that we can do for tone, right? Like, so the pilot for Heartbeat City just came out, and that has a very different tone, and that's intentional. That is very specifically trying to control tone because of an outcome, like an aesthetic outcome that I want to have happen.
Yeah, or like sensitivities, like we are talking about things that are very fundamental to each kind of listener and kind of like questioner's human condition, right? Like,
It is. It's important. It's important to take that kind of thing with a. At least for me, like other people, that kind of stuff is Joke City. It's just not for me.
Right.
And I also think we have enough shows on the network that are Joke City. Like somebody had pitched a version of Heartbeat City that was more kind of digression focused, and it's like we have a show that's all digression.
Yeah.
Like we did an episode of Abject Suffering recently where it was 20 minutes of like just straight up piss talk before
the real golden stuff. Yeah.
The real golden stuff kept bringing it up, and we didn't really get to the game until like 10 minutes at the end, and like that sounds like we're like I'm doing a bit or anything. It just happened naturally because that's what happens when we have no reason not to.
Right.
That's the expression of what you're talking about, Cole, where it's like just us trying to make each other laugh rather than which is good. I'm glad there's an audience for that, and I think it's really fun. But it's very different than Bonfireside Chat, which is very focused. Like we just have an agenda.
Yeah. In terms of how this has affected other stuff, like zooming in this close for this long, having a show where we just do these very granular looks has sharpened my saw to, I think a ridiculous degree. Who knows how much that applies and shows up elsewhere. But like this close of a look, it feels a little bit like training in dual gravity.
Yeah, it's a different tool. Yeah, which I like. And it ends up being different than, WAF is already close up because other old games shows, or at least the ones I mostly listen to Retronauts, which I love. Right, like this is not me, but they tend to be pretty zoomed out because they look at a series. And then I was like, what if we zoom out or zoom in further than that? And then Bonfireside Chat is the ultimate zoom in,
right?
That we have. So it is like kind of different ways of looking at it that I think are fun and worthwhile.
Yes.
And then like Souls of Darkness, that's what I want to talk about at the end. We wrap that up because that is a weird thing that I was thinking about today as I was working on the second book that I'm doing in that like series in Gary Butterfield's Worlds of Darkness. That I was just like, man, when I think about everything Bonfireside Chat has done for me, that's not something I think about all that often, but it is ridiculously huge.
Yes.
So it would not exist without Bonfireside Chat. So I'm putting up a marker in there and talk about that later. Roop says via contact. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. As I found the Souls series, I found your podcast and podcasts in general. I played Souls games to take a break from my stressful studies at University of Applied Sciences. I've had a mild depression for almost 10 years, and I always try to take my mind elsewhere with things. By far, the best combination has been a moderate amount of alcohol, Souls games, and your big brothery voices in my headphones. Souls may be gone, but the memories will remain.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We got a lot of responses that are very similar to this in terms of helping people through spots.
Mhm.
You know, and it's more than we could include in any single episode, either for length concerns or for taste concerns. You know,
Yeah.
it just, we need to call our shots with that. I've read every single one of those. And that resonates very loudly for me. You know, something that, you know, I don't know if I'm good at, but something I've, you know, am happy to be able to do, even if accidentally, just by being a goofball with a microphone, is, you know, help ease somebody else's burden in some way, you know, however trivial. And so to get that back, you know, on top of the other stuff, like, oh, you helped me understand these games better, or you made my workday go better. That means a tremendous amount to me personally.
Yeah. Yeah, I mentioned this a bunch, but the work thing is always huge for me.
Yeah.
Because work sucks. And being, you know, going through having a job you don't like is one of the great, like, you know, this is there's editorials being written about shitty millennials right now about how this is a bad attitude, but I don't care. That it is a huge cost.
Yeah.
Just kind of the idea that, like, in general, I was going to say in this country, I actually feel like this is pretty widespread, that just most people don't like their jobs.
Mm.
You know, most of what you do, you just go in and it's like, well, this is just a paycheck and fuck.
Yeah.
You know, like there's media about it. Like we have like people write plays, people do movies about it. Like it is part of the human condition that we just kind of are okay with. And it's just a huge cost.
Yeah.
So anything that can kind of ameliorate that, I think is great.
Yeah. You know, it is, you know, God bless you if you find satisfaction in the work that you do. You know, if there is some kind of, you know, self-improvement that happens out of that. Doesn't happen for a lot of people, and certainly even if you are one of those fortunate few, it doesn't happen all of the time. Looking back to the themes of this series, you know, stuff like entertainment, regardless of where you find it, whether it's in two dipshits talking about a video game, or, you know, any other thing, like anytime you can take a moment for yourself and reclaim your humanity and live some kind of life outside of the immediate sphere that has you generating value for somebody else is immensely valuable. And you have to grab and cling to every single one of those scraps that is there.
Yeah. It's you doing something for yourself as opposed to like just putting in this labor for other people, you know, which is kind of dehumanizing, you know? So yeah. What does Trond have to say?
Trond says, with their amazing name via Patreon, hey, Gary and Cole, and of course, your honored Patreon guest. Sorry.
We'll tell John.
Yeah, we'll tell John.
Yeah.
And we'll tell John by having him listen to this part, I suppose. I don't know. Yeah. My Souls journey started when my wife bought me Dark Souls 2. Not because she knew the game, but because she knew me. Already before I started looking up lore on the game online, or I found this podcast, something in the game drew me in. The unique merger of narrative, gameplay, and world building on offer made sure that Easter was filled with my journey through Jenglike. The first time the Pursuer dropped on my head, the reveal of Vendrick, or the realization of who the last giant really is, my first mimic attack, are all of those moments that will stay with me. I know many consider Dark Souls 2 to be the red-headed stepchild. Hey, wait a minute, I resent that. That's me.
You are a redheaded stepchild.
I am, yeah. But to me, it is the game that I come back to again and again. The incredible build variety, many of the NPCs, Lucatiel and Vendrick especially, and the way gameplay and narrative intertwine makes this one of my favorite games of all time. I found Bonfireside Chat searching for other people who loved the game and fell in love with the show immediately. The game didn't really hit hard in Norway until Dark Souls 3 and other Souls-obsessed people were few and far between. The blend of insight, knowledge, and humor you guys bring to the games are a treat to listen to, and you have given me countless hours of enjoyment as you endlessly pore over these rich and detailed worlds. It's even been good to have someone to commiserate with about the ending of Dark Souls 3 and the strange finality of the Souls series stopping, probably. Though I hate to see Bonfire Side Chat go, I love that this will give you more time to do Watch Out for Fireballs, Abject Suffering, Monster in My Podcast, and all the other great shows that fill up my podcast feed. Thank you for all the years, and I look forward to the times ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. We love we love Dark Souls 2 as well. Obviously. You should hook up with or listen to the Twin Humanities episodes where CJ talks about that. He is one of the pod community's biggest Dark Souls 2 ambassadors.
Yes.
Definitely has stuff to say about that.
Yeah. And I always get a kick out of hearing that people from other countries, yes, but non-English speaking countries, call me provincial if you want. I don't know what the actual word for that is. But it is awesome to know that our reach goes out like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. So we appreciate it. We're happy to help. Matt says via Patreon. Hey guys, no real question, just praise. After playing Dark Souls 1 and 2, I went back and played Demon Souls and was hungry for content on that game. That's how I came to find Bonfireside Chat and the rest of the Duckfeed network. I've gone back from that point and listened to all prior seasons and pretty much all of WoF, Abject Suffering, and I now eagerly wait each new episode, along with File Underwater. Thank you. Bless your heart.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Not in the southern way that Aria would use it.
Yes, I'm still getting used to that being an insult somehow. My views on the Souls series mostly track yours, a little friendlier to Bloodborne, a little harsher on Dark Souls 3 than you are. Wow. And I salute your decision to put Bonfireside Chat to rest gracefully. I'm excited about your future projects. Congrats on your great work. It's really encouraging to see that gaming can support a thoughtful and tolerant community like the one you guys have cultivated. It's a real comfort just to know that there are so many nice people on the internet. It is.
Yeah. That's something we live with and is a benefit to our life every day is knowing that you're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm all harsher on Dark Souls 3 than we are. I didn't think that such things, according to certain emails I've received, I didn't think such things are possible.
Yeah. I would hate to see your Twitter ads.
Yeah. Good luck, man. Thank you. And thanks for listening to File Underwater, which I'm very proud of. And it's actually the closest thing to this in our pod oeuvre.
Yeah.
That we do. It's very similar to Bonfireside Chat, just for something that less people care about. Yeah. And but I hope that people will discover it kind of as time goes on.
Yeah. It's going to exist as a document, no pun intended, for people to check out. And if I can make a Hail Mary pass here and say one of the key resistances that we've seen is I don't like REM. REM is a pretty diverse band. They've done a lot of stuff that maybe you don't know about. Listen to it and see if something tickles your fancy, because Reckoning does not sound like Out of Time.
Yeah. It might convince you.
Yeah, it might. Or it might not, in which case, thank you for giving us and them a shot.
Yeah. It doesn't, I'm not hanging up any of my my happiness and other people liking REM for sure. I'm not saying you are, but no. It's just it'd be cool if you give it a shot and you might like the show as well.
Yeah.
And if not, that's also okay. I understand there are only so many hours in a day.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. It is a hard sell. We kind of knew that when we went into it. We know it now for sure.
Yeah.
But it's fun to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're a really popular band. I didn't expect. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't expect, not that, again, it's not a disaster. It's just something has to be the least listened to show on the network.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And those damn Ross Kids was taking a beating for quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a favor to get. Thanks. You're welcome, Chris.
So Justin Gut writes in via Patreon saying,
Justin Gut. That is a good name.
It is a very good name. He's a cool guy. I've talked with him over email.
I like it. I like Gut as a last name.
Yeah. It's 2 T's too.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I came to Bonfireside Chat after hearing your ad that you ran on My Brother and Me, I think. It was a terrific pleasure to discover that people loved the Souls series as much as I did, since I couldn't get any of my friends to play Dark Souls beyond the Undead Parish. I now listen to several other Duckfeed shows and am proud to support the network, but Bonfireside Chat's demise still saddens me. especially since it serves as a reminder that the Souls series 2 is done. Thank you, Cole and Gary, for letting me ride along in your Lordran tour bus. I'll never forget it.
Aw. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah.
Thanks for supporting us, and thank you for checking out the rest of the network.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I forget if John said that on the episode, but he came by the My Brother and Me ad too.
He did.
Yeah,
he did mention that. So yeah, we should. That was a good idea. It is hard to figure out what to do.
It really is
to advertise.
Yeah.
So it is. I'm glad when something like that works out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then finally, final response. Here's Allison Baker, my friend and yours.
Yes.
Says via Patreon. All I really came to say is thank you. Thank you to Gary and Cole for all their hard work and for being my friend. Thank you to the wonderful Duckfeed community who continues to impress me daily with its amazing kindness and generosity. Thank you to Bonfireside Chat for introducing me to Duckfeed in the first place. And finally, thank you to Dark Souls, because without it, there would be no Bonfireside Chat. 5 years ago, if you had told me that listening to a podcast would completely change my life, I probably wouldn't have believed you, but here we are. Bonfireside Chat will be missed, but never forgotten. Also, fuck Gale. Yeah, fuck Gale.
Yeah. Didn't want to end it on too sweet of a note. Remember who we are.
Yeah. Like Allison is great. Allison is, more than great. Like me and Allison are buddies, and that's something that came from the show where it's like, me and Allison like will chat and talk about feelings, which is like not that's a second level friendship thing.
Yeah.
That's not a first level friendship thing. And that's directly resultant of this. So, thanks, Allison. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Fuck Gale to you.
And a merry fuck Gale to us all.
Yeah. And a Gale fucking everyone. Let's let's talk about the show.
Yeah.
Before we go. Thanks everybody for writing in.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So I real quick, just moving on from that, that is the probably the coolest thing that this did.
Oh, without question.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Got to meet a lot of really great people.
Yeah.
Who and one of the things too, and I don't, this is not a back patting thing. One of the things, because it's intentional and it's a choice, we wanted to do this. I really like that we have made this show and made this network where we can fold people into things. Mm-hmm. So we have things like having Jeremy on a show. And when we have, you've had Allison, we've had Allison on this show. She's been on Radio Free Windworld and stuff. We have Brian Wade has been on things. We did that D&D session with him.
Yeah.
Where we have people who are in the community who we can kind of fold in and interact with.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's cool.
Yeah, and that isn't done from a place of authority, we have deigned to have them on. Have you listened to us? It's mm-hmm. because we know they have something to contribute. We know that they are a huge portion of what makes this thing worthwhile. You know?
And it's been one of the things that I will a Bonfireside Chat regret. In the Souls categories is and this is just how it is we're both very sensitive people. So I wish that this kind of stuff was what I could take to heart when people were being dicks.
Yeah.
And again, we talk about that it was a month-long thing where it was nothing but people being dicks.
No.
I'm just sensitive about it. And now in retrospect, that seems so silly and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It seems super small. And I wish that I had spent less time worrying about it.
It's just it's not something you can know in the time. It would take a bigger person than me definitely to to realize that where I'm at with it now is just hopefully with not too much sanctimony. Hopefully this is just magnanimousness or whatever the proper word for that is
magnanimousness,
magnanimity, magnanimous. Yeah.
Magnanimous. Yeah.
No, is that I've agonized about this. Doing this show has brought more attention to us in very good ways, but also in some like kind of hurtful ways or whatever. Like now that's in the distance. We're going to get some trickles in of people listening to us and saying like, oh, you guys were wrong about X, Y, and Z. I'm like, that was 4 years ago, dog. Why are you saying that?
Just like, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Fine. Yeah. What I wish and where I'm at now with this, now that we've achieved some kind of distance, is like, I've grown by having that and gotten a little bit better about learning how to recognize what other people's point of views are, but also how to understand, my relationship with that. Like that has been a growth center for me, to put this in gross corporate speak or whatever. All I can hope is if we have made you angry, even if you count yourself, if you've listened all the way through to the end, we have shed a lot of people. I hope that if we have made you angry, we have gotten through and at least communicated our point of view as well as we can. I hope that both of us, regardless of whatever anguish has come out of those interactions, have been able to grow on the other side of it. Like that is literally all that can happen on the back of something is ultimately trivial as opinions about games. However, opinions about like social justice kind of stuff, which is really hard to ignore because this was a little bit of a ground zero for that. I hope you come around to our side of,
I think so too. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely people for whom that was a weird bugbear on this show.
Yep.
And it's like, I feel comfortable saying like, no, the problem is you, if that's your thing, like there's definitely been some Facebook interactions where I'm like, oh no, there's no doubt this guy is the fucking asshole here, cause that's non-negotiable. Like it's,
that's in the moment. It's been several years, I think, since like the worst of that, like the parts that dealt most with video game kind of stuff. We all grow over time. We all get better about this stuff. Sometimes we get worse. If you're by some, miracle still listening to this, maybe over time, that stuff is started to make more sense. That is what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not that long ago, like a month ago, some guy used that pretty terrible slur on our Facebook page. Like,
geez, yeah.
It's actually not, but it's rare, so giving that outsized importance is part of that, general kind of regret about that. And I hope those people eventually figure it out.
Yeah.
And in general with the show, like, not only it's just crazy to like think about the opportunities that have been afforded to me, for the show, like got to make lots of friends, which is the most important part. I'm not listing it first because it's the least important. It's actually the most important part, but we've already talked about it. Met a lot of people who I admire. Yep. Through this, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's an opportunity not everybody gets.
Right.
So had a lot of great people on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And then got to do things like going and doing that Ohio convention was very fun.
Yeah.
That was a cool thing to be able to do. Like, just, this is a cool thing.
Yeah.
That I ordinarily wouldn't be able to do.
Gary, we're in a book. So somebody saw fit to commit our bullshit to print.
Yeah. Like we're in You Die that Jason did, who approached us, which is very flattering because like he's a great writer and I've been a fan of his for a long time.
Yeah.
And then down to, when we a minor thing, but like when we had Austin on, had Austin Walker on, and he was like, yeah, when I was in grad school, like I used to listen to like you guys while walking to class, and it's like, dude, you're like a brilliant dude. Like you were a very, very smart, good person,
right?
And that is really, really flattering.
It is. That you gave us your time and attention. I don't know how to finish that. Sorry.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, in general, trying to be more in my life of just being like, if this isn't nice, what is? Right? Like that, have that feeling. And the show is full of those things where I have to, if I'm being mindful and thinking about it, it's just like you have to step back and there's really nothing to just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like it is, I don't think like, somebody in the thing brought up Souls of Darkness, which is like, got to make a book.
Yep.
I wouldn't have been able to without the show. Like, I think that if I had just pitched that general idea without the Dark Souls connection and without this fandom support, I don't think I would have raised enough money.
Right.
I think that is something that is directly on the back of like, the show. And like, it's not for nothing. It's not like, we didn't earn it. It's just a cool thing that, is part of my life now. You know, I'm not trying to downplay it as like, oh, this is an accidental thing that happened and like we had nothing to do with it. I just want to be grateful for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'll give us some credit for it, not too much, but some credit for it, and also I want to be actively grateful for the ways this has changed my life. Like it's not just like income; it's also like, you know, I'm able to see that, and then I was able to do the second one, which I'm like working on now, which feels really good.
Yeah.
We were in that book. Phil Kohler like interviewed us for a thing that I don't think came up, or if it did, he never tweeted us about the ending of the show.
Yeah, it didn't come up, but yeah.
It will at some. Hopefully, I didn't just break an embargo or anything.
Yeah.
I don't think I did. So like there's really cool things like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Opportunities that have opened up, you know, and it's hard. It's hard to give ourselves credit for that. You know, like there would be people who would say, you know, like who would respond to my instinct to say like opportunities that came up from nowhere. They would say like, oh, you guys put a lot of work into this, etc. Like I'm talking with my buddy and like getting a chance to listen and talk with people I really respect and people I like a lot about games that I really like, you know, like all of these other things on top of it. I'm not sandbagging here. God, it sounds like I'm sandbagging.
Well, I think what you're getting around, and it's the same thing that's true of me, is that the reason why we sandbag or have this kind of humility angle is that what we're doing, like it is a lot of work, but it's all fun work we wanted to do.
Right.
You know, so that kind of makes it feel like something that happened to us rather than something we did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just like it's just generally like hard for me not to do that. And some people, one of the things I've liked about these last 4 episodes, like I'm really happy that we're going out doing good work.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going out on the Dark Mouse episode, and you know, one of the things is like, you know, we talked about it and we're like, you know, do we include when people say nice things about us? Do we want to read that stuff? And we ultimately decided to. And this is the first time in my life I'm realizing that like I've thrown myself a party for an occasion. In any way, like I just don't do that.
Right.
And the sad reason why is that I don't have a lot of family and I don't have people in my life to do those things. So it is arrogant, it always feels to me, to be like, hey, I graduated college, I'm going to throw myself a thing. Or hey, I put out a book, I'm going to throw myself a thing. There's nobody around to do that. This is the first time I've been like, hey, we have to do this, and it's been really nice. You know, like a couple of people were just like, you guys haven't earned this, and it's like, yeah, you know, but like look at all these people who disagree with you. You know, we
people
did.
Doing that, I didn't see that.
Somebody wrote it in a review. In a mean review.
Okay.
That was like, you know,
so I probably saw it, but I was just, I disregarded.
You give it the quick, the safety scam.
Yeah.
To not ruminate on all the mean nerds.
Right. Because those come in like right when I wake up. So.
Yeah, it's such a bad way to wake up. It's still nice that they feed into the Slack, but like it's such a bad way to wake up when it pops up. Or worse than that is if they come in late and you're like checking your phone because you're trying to sleep. That's a real bad time for it too.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's been nice to kind of been like, you know, we're actually, you know what, we're doing good work here at the end. And this is a big deal. Let's, you know, let's treat it as such. That's been really nice. Like, you know, I feel like we've given this the kind of respect and ceremony that it deserves.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard to bask in that.
Yeah. It feels very counterintuitive to me.
Yeah. I mean,
so we won't, like, we did it. We had our thing. And then that's, you know, cause something you said in the last episode is like, it's changing more on the outside than it is on the inside. Like, guys, if you're sad about this, we don't die at the end of this.
No.
Like we don't have to kill each other. We don't have to walk off a cliff.
Right.
Like there's, you know, we're not going to go, you know, fall on a sword.
No,
we're still around, still doing stuff.
Yeah. There's work to be done.
Yeah. It's we're doing more now than we were before. And that's, we're excited about it. It's good work. Like we're fine.
Yeah.
And you guys are fine. Like these episodes will be there, but also there's other stuff to listen to if you like it. And if you don't like it, the stuff, you know, the old things will still be there.
Yep.
You know, it's like, we're not going anywhere. It is a hopeful, good thing.
Yep.
You know,
it's a decision we made for a very good reason and a reason that we're happy with. If we were not ready to do this, we would not have done it. We would have clung. We would have ignored the very message of the games that we've been talking about for 5.5 years, for 4.5 years.
That's the thing too, is like at some point, you know, we're on New Game Plus Cycle 6 or whatever. And it's like at some point, you know, you got to move on.
Yep.
So it is not, I understand the impulse to think of it as sad. And when I've been sad about it, it's just being touched by that enormity of like cataloging the ways this has touched my life.
Yeah.
It's not sad though. It's good.
Nope.
And we're not dying. And we did something cool that I'm very proud of.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really glad that it touched people.
We're going to continue doing cool stuff too.
Yeah. And that's not going to end either. I don't know how not to. So it's like,
right, yeah.
That's going to keep happening. I'm really glad that people, when people say like, it touched them, or that they got into podcast, or that like helped them through tough situations. Like, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not going to call it a day, but I'm happy that I'm able to do something.
Yeah.
Because I want to, because I'm trying to. Yeah. Like, it's not something that's like, unlike other people, I'm doing something. It's like, no, like it's a lot of work and a choice, and I take so much. Like I have a lot. Like, I am so lucky to have this job. Like, just as much as I give to people who listen to our shows and like are like, this got me through a really tough situation. Like, I've never been. The only time I've been medicated for depression is when I was working a job I hated.
Uh-huh.
And the only time, and I've like literally contemplated suicide, was when I was working a job I hated. Those are the only factors. But being able to, those weren't the only factors, but being able to take that and be like, I'm actually able to do something I love, is me taking so fucking much. Yep. So if people are listening to this and they take something from it,
yeah,
like that's just balancing the scales.
Yeah.
Like, you are doing me as big a favor. And even if not just the people who patronize us, even though obviously like that's a big deal, but it's also just the people who listened to it and made this justifiable.
Yep.
Like I toiled in a podcast that nobody listened to, and it broke my brain.
Yeah.
You
can go listen to it. It's a very good podcast.
You can listen to that Descent into Madness. It is. So it just, I feel like, when people say that, it's like, no, I very genuinely like, no, thank you.
Yeah, no, and that's another part that makes it hard to take credit for this, because there is a tremendous amount of gratification. People can see the evidence of my anxiety and depression and all of that. It's everywhere. But like my entire adult life has been marked by this, starting kind of with Watch Out for Fireballs and that groundswell, and that feeding into all these other cool projects and things like that. Like, I work a job I really don't like. But I know that over time, this reality is chipping into that one, the one where people can tune in and people can, give and, of their attention and of themselves. And, that is helping me, achieve some kind of, independence and all that. It is monumentally important to me as a person. I don't identify myself as like, a lot of stuff. I like to identify myself as a person who makes this, whether that's, I don't know, like any label feels chintzy and aggrandizing, critic, entertainer, blah, 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 like bullshit, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to be able to say that I can do this. It is, one of the just kind of keystones of me as a person, and, the person I've decided to be.
Yeah. Yeah. It is, we're both incredibly lucky.
Yes.
To be able to do it. So it's, and even with the fact that we work hard, it takes both.
Yes.
If everybody who worked as hard as we do got to build something like this, then there'd be a lot more things of this size.
Yeah.
And within this ecosystem, we're not even huge.
No.
So it's like, it's not just working hard, it's also luck. And I'm very grateful for that. And we wouldn't be lucky. We wouldn't have that luck if people didn't listen to us and support us and stuff. So that's the big thing. And I hope people follow us, on over to our other show. Mm-hmm. If not, there's no resentment, go well.
Yes.
That would be great. Yeah. But if not, that's also okay. I just thank everybody for listening to this. And yeah.
Hey, Gary, thank you for agreeing to do this show.
Yeah.
Thank you for playing Dark Souls when I wouldn't stop talking about it.
Hey, thanks for introducing me to it.
Yeah.
And thanks, Cole. Thanks for, thank you for being my partner in this. This is starting to sound like a creepy, like weird hippie forced wedding ceremony. But thank you, thank you for doing it, and thank you for everything you do on the network and stuff. And it's been real good. Yeah. Like it's been a good, it's something that like came up on Heartbeat City too, where it's like when two people end up in a romantic relationship, they have to be roommates as well. Like Cole and I have a good rapport, but also we work together well.
Yeah.
Which isn't always true.
No.
Again, another element of luck. Like
Yeah.
it is just, your life is 1,000 accidents, et cetera, Sinadoki, dot MPEG. And, we just happen to be on the plus side of this. So
Yeah. Yeah.
if you're listening real quick too, sorry, Cole, I feel like I'm talking a lot. If you're listening to this and you are sad that this has gone away, and you want to do a Souls podcast, do it.
Yep.
With our blessing.
Mhm.
Like you can't use the name, but
Please
you
don't.
can, don't do anything stupid, but you can, I recommend other people make this stuff because there's still some life in there. And, you see stuff like Don't Give Up Skeleton and like there's still fresh takes
Mhm.
and approaches. And if you want to do like, we're doing the Souls like podcast in the style of Bonfireside Chat, again, don't call it that. But
Right.
if you want to do that, like, please do it.
Yeah.
Don't, I encourage anyone listening to this because it is just, I think we're good at what we do, but there's no governing body.
No.
So nothing's stopping you from taking this torch and running with it.
Yeah. And I would even say, if you want to adopt this format and apply it to something that is not Souls, lots of people have done that.
Yeah.
People who listen to our show have gone and done that, either Mega 10 Marathon or Metal Gear Mondays. Those are two people from our community. A lot of people from our community, but people who listen to the shows who said like, oh, we can apply this to something else. Go and do that with our blessing. Like
try do something without M's in it. So
yeah,
like unimaginative fucks.
No, but do it with our blessing because this is this is open source. Again, everything but the name.
Yeah. So I encourage people to do that because it is it's a huge privilege that we're able to do this, that we're able to put the time into it. Initially we did this while working full time.
Yep.
And that was really hard, and that was still a privilege because we were able to support ourselves plus have some free time, and free time itself is a privilege. So we recognize that. But if you have that and you want to use it, just don't let anybody stop you from doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can totally do it.
Yeah. Don't feel like you need to ask. Don't feel like it is something you need to hedge around. Like go forth, walk with God or whoever you want to walk with. Make the thing you want to make.
Yes, absolutely. And maybe you will be lucky as well.
Yes.
And I hope you are. It's not a zero-sum game. Like I hope that it goes great.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's it.
I think so.
Yeah, it's weird.
Well, no,
it's
really not it because I want to thank everybody who's guested on the show.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to do that starting now, alphabetically.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
We could like there's but specific things. We have some some people who guest on the show, and I guess I won't surprise people with this because they might turn off the podcast. Wrote in little messages for us. I asked them to do that because again, this is the first time I've thrown myself a party for anything, thrown ourselves a party, and I wanted to make it cool. So I asked people who had guested to kind of record a little thing that will play at the end of this episode. I don't know what they've said yet. So
I listened to them and cried like a baby.
Okay. It is it's very nice of those people to do that. And thank you again. I don't want to start listing names because I know I'll end up missing people and then it'll feel like an omission. But thanks everybody who've been generous with their time and insight.
Yeah.
And it's that's been great.
Yeah.
That's been really special. Yeah.
Yep.
So stay tuned for that. And praise the sun.
Praise the sun.
Hello, Gary and Cole. It's me, Josh, and I'm joined by James.
Hello.
And yes, your listeners might know us from Cane and Rinse, but we've guested on a couple of episodes of Bonfireside Chat, and we just wanted to say a big thank you to both of you for creating such a brilliant podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pleasure to be on as a guest, but it's been an equal pleasure to listen to the entire run of a podcast that doesn't just comment upon a series of games and the community around those, but has been, from my point of view, absolutely instrumental in bringing people together around this series of games, and really solidifying, giving people a place to come and a place to talk about and think about this series of games that means so much to so many people, and clearly so much to you two as well. And the whole run, as sad as I am to kind of see it come to an end, I think it's understandable that what you've done is encapsulate this series of games, and now that it's taking hiatus, it's only right that Bonfireside Chat should also as well. But yeah, thank you very much for having me on, but also for everything you've done. Yeah,
you two are truly intimidating podcasters, both to listen to and to record with. The level of analysis and the depth of the research that both of you undertake for every single podcast you record, not only for Bonfireside Chat, but for Watch Out for Fireballs as well, and I look forward to your continuing adventures on that podcast. But Bonfireside Chat it is one of my favourite podcasts of all time. It's certainly one of my favourite gaming podcasts. I think you guys were the right pair to bring what I feel was needed to the Dark Souls community, something that we could all gather around and celebrate. And you guys brought a much needed maturity to the analysis, and just thank you so much. It's been a pleasure listening to every single season, and I thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Josh, you've said it all perfectly. Thank you very much, and the very best of luck, guys, with obviously the rest of your podcasting careers, but yeah, everything else. Thank you.
Goodbye, and good luck with the future.
Goodbye.
Farewell to Bonfireside Chat. Truly, you were the Dark Souls of podcasts about Dark Souls. Umbasa.
Hey, Bonfireside Chat, this is Riff, saying thanks for all the good times, and remember that the real Dark Souls are the friendships we made along the way. Umbasa.
Goodbye, Bonfireside Chat. Thanks for everything.
Hey, this is Steve Gaynor. See ya, Bonfireside Chat. You were awesome.
Farewell, Bonfireside Chat.
Hey Gary, hey Cole, this is Jeremy. You may know me from such shows as Days of Future Cast or Not the Mama podcast, the deep dive me and Gary were doing into the early 90s dinosaur sitcom. Just wanted to say a quick thank you for doing Bonfireside Chat. It's a huge inspiration for me personally. In all sincerity, you guys inspired me to put myself out there and do podcast, and it's something that I absolutely love to do. So, Umbasa.
Hi, this is Jim Crawford. You may know me as Jim, your friend from childhood. So, I was only a guest on one of the dumb joke episodes of Bonfireside Chat, but I love Bonfireside Chat, and I love Dark Souls, and I love Bloodborne. Here's a secret. From when I first put in the disc to when I finally linked the fire, it took over 5 years for me to finish Dark Souls. Every time I quit, it would take a lot of prodding from my friends to get me to get back into it. But one of the things that drove that final push was knowing that every time I made some progress, I would be able to listen to Gary and Cole talk about the area I had just finished. Sometimes I look forward to the episode more than the satisfaction of beating the boss of the area. So, thanks Gary and Cole. I did it, and you helped. Umbasa.
Hey guys, this is Sean of The Lore Hunter, and I just wanted to take a moment to say how much Bonfireside Chat means to me. It is the show that convinced me to give Dark Souls a second chance, and it was my introduction to the Duckfeed community, both of which have had a huge impact on the last few years of my life, and continue to do so to this day. So it's been a wonderful ride. I've really enjoyed getting to know you guys in the community, and it's really gonna suck that it's gone, but hey, gotta leave a corpse well enough alone. Rest in peace, Bonfireside Chat. Farewell. May the good blood guide your way.
Hey, this is Stuart Wellington. Just wanted to say thank you to Bonfireside Chat for teaching me how to get 99 lives in Contra.
Hey guys, just wanted to say thank you so much for all the time and commitment you put into making this cast on a regular basis, and thank you for having me on as well. I appreciate you guys having me on a few times and having a couple laughs with you guys and some deep conversations about a series that we all love. I definitely picked up every now and then going, because of you guys. You do that sometimes, but, it's something I'll miss. So, again, thank you so much, and I hope to see you guys on another cast. Umbasa.
Hey, Bonfireside Chat, it's David. Thanks for making this whole series even more enjoyable, and congratulations on a great run. Take it easy.
So, Bonfireside Chat is ending. Sadness. I am sad.
I'm quite sad too. I really like
I am very
Chat.
sad. I'm very sad. I'll tell you why I'm very sad.
How sad are you?
Because I was invited on a couple of times and we had good laughs. And I was really nervous because they were sort of, the big guys, and we have our sort of little corner table with vol-au-vents and stuff.
Mum says we're really good, so...
Well, I presume that's why they eventually allowed you on. Because of, I don't know, maybe you found something on Gary or Cole or both of them. Maybe it was just pestering.
I've still got the pictures.
Fair enough. But yeah, I was really nervous when I first went on, and I remember getting home from work, going to sleep, getting up, making a coffee, and I think I bought a Star Bar and something else, and I was like, I need fuel for this. But ended up just having a really lovely giggle, and was talking about Souls and just really enjoying my time and feeling like they were people that I'd known for a long time. They've really put me at ease. But it's a great show, and they put in lots of, you know that research thing. So they put in lots of research and lots of effort, and the guests have all been fantastic, and we've been honoured to be a part of that. So thank you for including us, for one thing. But really fantastic run of shows, very listenable. Yeah, I'd be sad to see it go.
Yeah,
genuinely.
I can only echo what you've said there, CJ. It was really cool to be invited on the first time on the Bloodborne episode to talk about Seaman for a while. That was fun. And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure and honour every time we've been allowed to talk to you guys. And thanks to Cole for letting me be on Radio Free Mudwell so much. I'm reading a book the first time and learning it, so thanks for that. But yeah,
it's not about that one.
It's not about that one.
Jesus Christ, stop plugging your life.
But through the friends we've made, along the way. But no, I remember a blistering summer, burning through the first season of Bonfireside Chat on my walks to work, and yeah, felt like I know you guys before we even chatted.
I thought you were veering off on one of your tangents then.
No,
he's not done any prep, and this is going to be one of those bits like on an exam paper where they go like, give an example of your understanding of this, and you just you have about 3 words and you milk it for about 6 paragraphs. That's pretty much our show, isn't it?
Wow.
On your side of things.
This is a really good sign-off for Bonfireside Chat, isn't it?
Oh my god, I think I might have destroyed 20 matches at the same time. But yeah, genuinely, thanks for being so lovely with us, and thank you for an amazing run of shows.
Umbasa.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That do it?
Yeah.
Cool. Did we say who we were?
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, people will know. Right. So
we're Paddy and CJ from the Mantis. That's the end bit.
Hey guys, Austin here. I just wanted to say congrats on all of the work you've done over the last few years. I really think that Bonfireside Chat is a unique and singular thing, and I think that Dark Souls has been made better for it. And I hope you know, bearers of the curse, that I will remain by your side until this frail hope shatters.
What's up, guys? This is Jason Killingsworth, one of the authors of You Died, a book about Dark Souls, and all the beautiful lunatics caught in its gravity well. On the occasion of this final episode of the Bonfireside Chat podcast, I wanted to give a special shout-out to Gary and Cole. For me personally, they embody the most virtuous aspects of the Souls fan community: curiosity, thoughtfulness, imagination, humor, and generosity. If you stripped out all the summoning and invasion mechanics from Dark Souls, it would remain the most multiplayer game in history. Hardship brings people together, mystery brings people together, and as the podcast's name suggests, Bonfireside Chat became a really important rallying point for the global Souls community, a wonderful repository of all of our stories and shared experience. They could have started a religious cult, but ultimately realized, to paraphrase L. Ron Hubbard, the real money's in podcasting. Anyway, farewell, Bonfireside Chat. Thanks for creating so much light and warmth.
And we all pray. And we all pray. Boom, bok, dun. Boom, bok, dun. Boom, bok, dun. And we all pray. Praise the dun.